All right, thank God, thank the creator of the universe that he's protecting us and that he gave us the Torah, he's giving us the Torah and that we're still alive. Like I said, I was talking to somebody, this is years ago, to somebody in America. I don't remember who it was. It was some non-Jewish, I just met him in the street. We're just talking. And I said, how are you feeling? Anyway, he said this statement, I thought it was really nice. I said, how are you? He said, listen, all the time that I'm on the ground and the ground is not on me, I'm happy. That's very basic, you understand? But still, you got what to be happy about if you're alive. Okay. So here we're talking about what's going to be in the future. And we said that the main accomplishment is going to be in the future is that Mashiach is going to reveal a new Torah. Says, what does it mean, a new Torah? Says there's two aspects of this. Number one is there's going to be, and they're really one. Number one, Mashiach is going to reveal the secrets of the Torah. He's going to reveal the godliness of the Torah. Mashiach is going to reveal the source of the Torah, the giver of the Torah. In every single law, in every single word, in every single letter of the Torah. So there's going to be new reality, new facts, new awareness of God that never existed before. Even though this was also at Mount Sinai, but even at Mount Sinai, it was concealed. And the whole idea of the Mashiach is going to reveal it. And that's what it means. It's going to be a new Torah. It won't be anything new from what was given at Mount Sinai, but it will be something new from what was revealed at Mount Sinai. Because at Mount Sinai, all of the facts weren't present. Said the Rebbe brings two examples. One example is how the Leviathan, this big fish, is going to slaughter the big ox with its fins. What's called the Shor HaBar. Bar means a lot of things, we said. It means purified, it means outside, right? Bar, it means wild. But in any case, it'll do this. It's going to be some sort of an amazing thing, and it's going to slaughter the ox. And it's going to slaughter the ox with its fins. So the Talmud asks, hey, you can't do that. You can't slaughter with a fin. A fin goes up and down. It has to, the knife has to be straight. If it's not, then it's not kosher. So this is going to be a new Torah. Mashiach is going to reveal a new Torah. Then there's another law. The Rambam also brings this law. The law is that there's the cities of refuge. It says if a person kills somebody accidentally, what is through negligence, then it's very hard to judge a person like this because he didn't kill intentionally. He wasn't warned intentionally. But on the other hand, he did kill someone. So the laws are complicated, but nevertheless, there's a place for this person, a person that killed someone like that, so the relatives of that person can take revenge. That's the law. The relatives of the murdered person, because he was killed through negligence, as they're allowed to take revenge. What is the person supposed to do? Hide in his basement his whole life? They change his identity? No. There were what's called 6 cities of refuge. 6 cities of refuge. That if a Jew runs to these cities, and there were big roads and signs, if he gets into one of these cities, then the revenger, the avengers, the irate family members can't touch him. It's forbidden. If they do, then they're guilty themselves. It's called cities of refuge. And God says, and if in the future when I increase your boundaries, right now it is, God promised to Abraham 10 lands, 10 nations. And in fact, he only gave him 7. So it says in the days of the Mashiach, we're going to get these 3 nations, the Keni and the Kenizi and the Kadmoni, which is, what is it? Edom and Moab and what? Anyway, a third one. We're going to, the land of Israel is going to be a lot bigger than it is now, like 3, 4, something 5 times as big as it is now. Because all these nations will attack us, and we'll schmeiss them all. We'll take care of them, and maybe they won't attack. Maybe they'll just give it with free will. I don't know what's going to be, but in any case, God's going to fix it up. He's going to give us much more land than we have right now. For sure, we're not going to give away land. That's insane, especially not to give it away to our enemies. No. Okay, so we're going to have bigger land. What's going to be with these students? Then God says, the days of the Mashiach, God said, I'm going to give you 3 more cities of refuge. So the guy, he says, why in the world would we have cities of refuge? I mean, the cities of refuge, that's for people who kill people by accident. There's not going to be any killing. Then, what do you mean murder? Accidental murder? They're not going to be accidental murders. So the Rebbe explains, no, that's exactly the point. In the future, there's going to be a new Torah. What does it mean, a new Torah? Because because there won't be any bad in the world, but there'll be the potential in a very, very fine way for egotism, for selfishness. The potential will be there. This potential is what caused Adam to make the wrong choice and eat from the tree. This is what caused the Jewish people to do the golden calf. So even though in the future people won't do this, but the potential will be there. It says, therefore, this has to be refined. If a person even raises this potential in his mind, so this is already going to be considered to be a big sin. This is already going to be considered to be murder. In other words, a lot will be expected from each and every Jew. To avoid even the finest levels of selfishness. So that was something like what Beit Shammai did. Beit Shammai was very, very strict because they went according to the potential of every Jew, and they knew that this was potential had to be expected and demanded from everybody. Beit Hillel said you can't do that nowadays. But in the days of the Mashiach, you will, and it'll be a good thing to do. So the law will be like Beit Shammai, and also there'll be 3 extra cities added on to teach people and to educate people who even consider being selfish, to teach them. And that's going to be the same thing with the slaughtering that we said in the future. 1 second. That the fish is going to slaughter the big ox. Says the Rebbe, I got a better question. You're asking a question about the knife. It's supposed to be straight, and a fin is not straight. Ask a better question. Slaughtering has to be done by a human being. It has to be done by a Jew. It has to be done by a Jew, and it can't be done by every Jew. This is a Jew that believes in idolatry, a Jew that doesn't keep Shabbat. Can't be a slaughterer. You can't slaughter. It has to be by a person. You can't, if a fish slaughters a sheep or something like that, that's not kosher. Even if the fish has a straight knife, the fish has a knife in his mouth, and you train the fish, right, how to slaughter, right? So the knife is not the problem. The problem is the fish is the problem. Can't slaughter with a fish. So God says no. That the fact of the matter is that God is going to be the one. So let's take it from here. Yesh Lomar, we can say the explanation is like this. We did this last time. We'll do it again. The explanation is like this: that the shechita, that the slaughtering of this ox with the fins of the fish in the future will not be by means of the fish. It'll be by means of God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hainu shesinapiri leviatan, that the fins of this fish, the leviatan, they will be the knife that God is going to use to kill the Shor Habor. And since that this whole idea of God doing the slaughtering, so this is the new Torah that's going to be. The Torah that we have wasn't talking about such a slaughtering. That God slaughters. That God does the ritual slaughtering. This was never said. The shechita was not talked about it when God does it. So this is going to have to be a new law. This will include also this shechita that says, question, we have a question, let's see. Who is running after people that are going to the city's refugee? Very good. Fine, yet. And there are still people, anger and selfishness and thinking about rich. Well, first of all, the people will, their own conscience will pursue them. Very good question. But their own conscience, in other words, they'll feel that they did something wrong. And that this feeling of doing something wrong, this is something like the angel of death. It says that usually the one who pursues the person, if you just take it in a simple way, it says the city of refuge. In nowadays, now we don't have a city of refuge. Now the city of refuge is the Torah and the commandments. And the one who wants to kill us is the Yetzer Hora, which is the same thing as the angel of death. And who did we kill accidentally? We killed our own godly soul. That's Adam. We spilled the blood of our godly soul. We said before, the blood is like the Torah. So therefore, we want the city of refuge. In the future, when there's going to be these cities of refuge, it'll be the same, basically the same type of a thing, but they'll really be cities, and you can go there and you can learn. You'll be taught, you'll have an example, because it'll be a very difficult thing for a person that will all be such big tzaddikim, for a person to admit and to find where is the source of this egotism that I have. So that's what it means, that the slaughtering of God, that God's going to slaughter it. It means it's not like a person that shechts, that he's limited to the laws of the Torah. What God does say, we have to do also. It says God has commandments. That God commanded us with his commandments. That's the whole idea of shechita. Shechita means drawing down. Ein shachat al mashach. That by means of this, there will be a purification of the animal. We talked about this yesterday. By means of slaughtering the animal properly, it changes the animal from being an animal to be kosher to be eaten by a person, that the person will do Torah and the commandments. So it comes out the whole thing of shechita, of ritual, kind of ritual Torah slaughtering, is to elevate the animal. So it will be to elevate the world. So it'll also be the whole thing. When man slaughters, he can elevate things. But when God does it, when a person slaughters because a person is doing this because of a person, therefore there's many, many limitations, which is not the case when God does the slaughtering, so to speak, when God does the elevation. Since this is being done by God, as there's no limitations, therefore it can be a different type of a slaughtering. Any type of a slaughtering that God does will be kosher. Now we can add on an addition to the fact that there's going to be 3 more cities of refuge, and that the law is going to be like Beit Shammai, and that God will be able to slaughter this big ox even more. Listen to this. First of all, what is the idea of the negative commandments that are going to be also in the days of the Mashiach? I mean, if there's not going to be any bad, so why should there be commandments? Don't eat trephus and don't kill and don't this. There won't be any things like this, huh? The main thing is going to be in the future, when the days of the Mashiach is doing good. Then there will be b'shorish l'mayla she'hen gvoros kedushos. Says the negative commandments will be revealing the upper severities of God, which are higher than the upper kindness of God. These are higher than kindness, as is known that the source of the commandments, negative commandments, are really higher than the positive commandments. That's why there's more negative commandments. There's 365 negative commandments, only 248 positive. Al derech, like it says above, that understanding God, right, what God is limited, but what God is not, right, that's unlimited. Well, we can understand that God is not anything like us, and he hasn't got kindness like us, and he hasn't got it. That's closer to the essence of God than understand how kind God is and how good God is. Those are only lower aspects of God. Therefore, believing in God can't be totally by means of what we understand. And it can't be understood, serving God can't be only by doing things. It has to be a way of not doing. According to this, now we can understand the argument Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel. Beit Shammai, the source of his soul, comes from what we call severity. This is holy severity, which is above kindness. According to kindness, God would just create the world. According to severity, that's the Torah, that's the laws, that's the limitations. So the severity, in a way, is higher. Darkness is higher than light. Darkness, you go into a university, what you understand, that's light. What you don't understand, what's higher than you, that's darkness to you. It's higher. Ro and Yanim, Elu, B'shorsham, therefore, you'll be able to see things in their source. The Bechinas Gavuras Kedushos, what are called holy severities that cannot be revealed in a positive way, only in a negative way. We can understand only what God is not. This is above any positive grasping of God. That's what says the negative commandments. That's why Beit Shammai, that they're more strict. Beit Hillel, their sources from this level of what God has revealed. Then you can see things in a revealed way. You can do positive things. This is revealed in a way of understanding what we can understand, positive things. Okay, therefore, in this nowadays, when most people are not relevant to this level of Beit Shammai, namely to weigh out and to be exact with Shorish and Yanim, to the source, what is this, the unexplainable, the infinitely ungraspable source of everything above, in the level of Gavuras to Kedushos, namely, this is what's called, how do you say, negative understanding, connecting to what we don't understand. That's why I said it's so important in Judaism, questions. In other words, admitting there's so many things I don't understand, but it doesn't depend on the answers, right? There are some things that you just can't understand, but nevertheless, you have to want to be able to connect to them. It could be, though, that there's bad things, the negative things that can come, negative things in this world. So therefore, we have to try to make more revealed godliness in this world than concealed. Therefore, nowadays, the law is like Beit Hillel. We have to keep away from things that we totally don't understand. We have to do what we understand. Serving God has to be more. And that's why it says that, and there's an argument between Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel, that it's not a Mishnah, it's not a Mishnah, it's not a law. Automatically, the law is like Beit Hillel, to the point where the law, it says that all the time that the law is supposed to be like Beit Hillel. When the times when there were more rabbis that held like Beit Shammai, more than Beit Hillel, and the law was decided in favor of Beit Shammai, so the rabbis say, Oto Yom, that day, that it says they were in the attic of Ben Gurion, whatever, that it's right in the beginning of in Mishnayos, even of Shabbos. It says that day when the opinion of Beit Shammai was the one that was was the one that ruled. It says that day was bad for the Jewish people, like the day when the golden calf was made. The golden calf is the source of all bad things. Why? Because it was too much severity over kindness. And therefore, because of this, even though in its source it's good, but from this can come bad things, right? You see now, there's the story in the Talmud, shocking stories. It says there was where Yochanan Kohen Gadol, that he served God in the holy temple for 70 years, or 80 years, whatever, and that he saw something. They say the same thing was with Elisha ben Avuah, that he saw something. He saw a young boy go up in the tree. His father said, do the mitzvah of Shiloh HaKein, send the mother away, take the eggs. And the boy did what his father said, and if you do what your parents say, it says you'll have long life. And it also says if you throw away the mother, take the eggs, it's also long life. And the boy fell down and he died. And he said, I don't understand this. How can it possibly be? And he left Judaism. To be connected to too many difficulties, the Holocaust, the destruction of the temple, things we don't understand, you can go crazy. Because things you don't understand sometimes appear in this world as bad. You know, if it's good, then you understand it, right? God is good, we understand that. You see terrible things happen in the world. Hey, I don't understand that. This is really coming from a higher source of godliness that we just don't understand. So it comes out in a way that we don't see any good. It says good. I mean, listen, in its source, it's really a very good thing, but you know, we can't take it in this world. There can come bad things from this. You can, but in the days of the Mashiach, when they will be finished, that good will be separated totally from bad, and there won't be even a place for thinking about something that's bad, then everything will be, everyone will be in a way that they can be very exact and demand for themselves more and more and more, be more exacting on themselves. That's this thing of gevura, severity. That's this thing of darkness, to do more and more things that they above their understanding. Therefore, that's like Beit Shammai. Therefore, those things which are permissible now, according to Beit Shammai, then in the days of the Mashiach will be forbidden. Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, then in the days of the Mashiach, they'll be forbidden like Beit Shammai. In other words, Beit Hillel was saying, listen, we just have to do positive things, right? Just have to do positive things. And what's positive? In the days of Beit Shammai, he'll say, one second, these positive things, there's a lot of things in these positive things that might lead you to do sins, that you might go overboard. When you were in that before the Mashiach came, as the main thing was to stress to do good. A Jew should feel good about Judaism, as good as possible, not to connect to too many things which are not understandable. The main thing is it should be understandable. In the days of Beit Shammai is going to say, no way. We're connecting to God now. We're not just doing what makes us feel good. We're connecting, and that's what's going to make people feel good. So days of Beit Shammai, things are going to be more strict because there will be revealed a shleimus the gevuras the kedusha shalamayla. Shalamayla michasidim, because then the aspect of doing things you don't understand will be much higher and in a way more human than doing things you do understand. According to this, now we can understand the city of the ideas of the cities of refuge. A person that kills somebody by accident, somebody that kills someone by accident. This indicates on what? the source of negative commandments. Gvur of Kedusha, which is above kindness. When a person that kills somebody by accident goes to the city of refuge, this shows that by means of learning Torah, and especially by means of the Torah of the Mashiach, that this person will be able to fix up even these gevuras kadoshas, these high severities. That's why God says, I'll add 3 more cities. The secrets of the Torah will be drawn down in a way, and there's these secrets which are totally not understandable, the darkness of the Torah, the source of the severities of the Torah will be revealed that it will be able to understand them. And there will be different people. Namely, that even the highest things that are totally incomprehensible now will be revealed in a way that people will be aware, are able to incorporate them in their day-to-day life. Because the way of understanding, this is what we call negative understanding, will be drawn down in a way that everyone can understand it. So we can say that's the whole thing of the idea, what it says, that this ox is going to be slaughtered, and why is going to be slaughtered with leviasan. The whole thing is in a way of a negative understanding, doing things above our understanding. It can't be understood, and therefore it's forbidden to eat aser ba'achila kivin she'ena yochel bo ba'ofen she'yadamu basar b'kabusaro. If a thing is forbidden, then it can't be eaten. But this fish slaughtering, that's forbidden. To slaughter with a fin, you can't do that. It's forbidden. You can't eat the ox. But then it'll be revealed in a way that you will be able to eat the ox. Therefore, even though this shechita will be in a way that it makes use of negative commandments, of course, you can't go overboard, but negative commandments. You can't go around and killing people, doing whatever you want to, all the negative commandments, because it's going to be permissible. But nevertheless, certain ones, yes, even this slaughtering of this ox. Why an ox, by the way? What's going on? It says, explain it like this. Why is it that there's going to be slaughtered this ox with the fins? It's explained in Chassidut like this. The difference between the fish and the ox, there's the mimer, we learned it in Parsha Shmini, remember? In a service. The Leviathan, this big fish, is regarding to how we serve God. Where is this fish inside of us? A fish is a creation which is in the sea. The sea is what's called the concealed worlds. This shows on a spiritual level of like tzaddikim. High tzaddikim that they're totally immersed in spirituality. Totally immersed. The ox, on the other hand, this shows tzaddikim that they're revealed. An ox lives on the dry land. He's separate from the world. This indicates the service of tzaddikim that work in this physical world. Or even potential tzaddikim, like me and you. There is in this what's not in this. This service of these tzaddikim that are like the fish, this is in a way which is raising everything. Everything is very, very spiritual. You can get these very tremendously high lights and revelations of God. But this doesn't really draw godliness down below. The service of the physical, which is like the ox, this is working down below, but it's lacking the connection of pure light above. It's not immersed in the waters of holiness. So the fish, that shows on people that are purely spiritual, totally united with God and the Creator, and all these wonderful things, heaven on earth. But they're not working in the world. On the other hand, the ox, that shows on people that they work in the world. They do what God says, they turn from bad, do good, but they're not really connected in the same total unification as the fish. In the future, they're going to be both of them together. That even below will be drawn down and revealed what's up high. The ox will be like the fish, and the fish will be like the ox. The ox will be like the fish, namely the highest revelations will be here, even in our physical service. And the fish, even the highest levels of godliness, will be brought down and serve in the world by means of this. That how will he do this? Because this fish will be slaughtered and elevated, and it will elevate, and it will be elevated, like we said, by means of this ox. Namely, that will be revealed these high lights, this thing of the fish, that will be revealed here below. Here we're only talking about the fish killing the ox. Namely, that this slaughtering of the ox will, the meaning means that all of our service, the ox signifies serving God in this physical world, everything that we've been done, purifying for the last thousands of years. Therefore, there'll be revealed the purpose of it, namely what? The fish, that even the highest things, even things which are totally incomprehensible, this will be like the fish, concealed, that lives in the concealed worlds. This big tzaddikim, this will be drawn down in a way that even me and you, simple people, and even the non-Jews, will be able to understand it. That's the idea of the shur bar. That's the idea of the wild ox, or the alma disgali, this physical world. Therefore, Yater Kodesh Baruch Hu, therefore, God will permit us to eat from this ox in this way of slaughtering, which today is forbidden. Why? Because it's forbidden, because it's incomprehensible to us now. It's coming from the world that's, we say, forbidden, because it's higher than our understanding. We can't incorporate this in the world now. But who's going to do the slaughtering? God himself, by means of this new Torah that's going to come from God. This new Torah that also the highest of levels of the Torah, the darkness of the Torah, the incomprehensible essence of godliness which is in the Torah, me'iti, from me. The new Torah is going to come from me. It's going to come from God himself. That cannot be revealed nowadays. This will be revealed. It can only be revealed in, what do you say, negative understanding. We can only ask questions about it. We can never get the answers. It's going to come out from me. It'll come out and be drawn down below in this physical world. And all of the Jewish people, like it says in the Rambam, the Jewish people will be tremendously wise geniuses. They'll know secret things. They'll understand the mind of God according to the ability of man. Like it says, Moleh ha'oretz de'as Hashem. The world will be filled with the knowledge of God like water fills the ocean. That's the coming of the Mashiach and the revelation, which is supposed to happen right now, immediately. The world is certainly ready. Everyone is turning over. All eyes are to the Creator. We understand that we're living in a world that is totally not understandable. And we need Mashiach now. Only the Jewish people, when they become the Jewish people and connect to God, they can transform this dark, 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 dark world into a place of beautiful light and meaning by means of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Melech HaMashiach, now. And now let's just do the Yom Yom, Yom Yom, Yom Yom. Oh, ready here. Let's do it. In the year 1829, the Bamidbar was on the 5th of Sivan. This like this year, pretty much. Yeah, this year. No, this year I think it's on the 4th of Sivan. Okay. Before lighting the Shabbos candles, the Tzemach Tzedek said a mimer which is called Su'u Rosh Avotam. After this, and this mimer that the Rebbe said, this this is explaining the commentary of the Eben Ezra. And he said the word Su'u, lift up. It says Su'u at Rosh Bnei Israel, lift up the heads of the Jewish people. That's how this Torah portion begins. Su'u, lift up. Lift up means to count. But he says it means elevating, like kitisa, elevating. That also means counting over there. The implication means that through shining your soul into the body, you can actually lift up your head, namely what? The essence of the soul, the head of the soul. In other words, the soul, before a person comes into the world, so the soul is in heaven. So what's the purpose of bringing it into the world? So it says, by means of coming into the world and working, that the soul itself becomes elevated. And he explained also a lot of other ideas in the Zohar and the Midrash. That same afternoon, and the Shabbat, the Rebbe said another mimer, which is printed in the Torah, in Likkutei Torah, which we didn't learn. The next day, Ve'arasticha Olam. This is when at Mount Sinai we were married to God. We got married to God. It's in the Likkutei Torah, but we didn't do that mimer. Next day, on the first day of Shavuot, he said the mimer of Usfartem, count, which is also explained in the Likkutei Torah. That's the mimer right after the one we learned, or right before the one we learned. I'm sorry. And during the festive meal of Shavuot, the Rebbe, this is the Tzemach Tzedek, said the mimer, wisdom comes from nowhere. And this is also written in the Likkutei Torah. So in other words, on this day, he said 4 Maimorim, all dealing with the idea of the giving of the Torah. And Baruch Hashem, we learned Likkutei Torah. We didn't learn one of these Maimorim, but we learned about God, the Torah, the Jewish people, the world, and mainly Mashiach. Now, have a good day. At 3 o'clock, God willing, we'll meet and learn the Chumash. We'll learn about the reading of the Torah, what we're going to read on Shavuot, the giving of the Torah as it's written in Parshat Yitro. Have a good day. Shalom uvracha.